Washington 95.9.
Welcome to the Carmiece Graves Radio Show. We're about to do it. Springtime, I'm feeling it. Got some great tips for Women's History Month. It's time to talk about money, women, keeping it, preserving it. Here we go.
The following show do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management. Good morning and welcome to the Carmiece Graves Show. Get ready to get great information on knowing your rights on estate planning, bankruptcy, divorce, alimony, and much more. Now, for today's show, here's attorney Carmiece Graves.
Here we go. Welcome to the Carmiece Graves Radio Show. This is attorney CPA Carmiece T. Graves. I'm in the building. I got the mic. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling right. Okay, get it. So it is Women's History Month. This is the last show of March. Can you believe it? It's already the end of March. We're finishing the first quarter of 2019. Spring is on the way. It's happening. It's going down. And today I want to talk about women, wealth, preserving it, keeping it. First thought I had about this show from last week is I wanted to continue the conversation about custody. It's such an important conversation because we find ourselves embroiled in these nasty custody battles, but I figured, you know what? Here's something that came up earlier in the month that I wanted to spend some time talking about, and it's about women and wealth. Now, there's a saying, and I believe it. I've been contemplating it. This saying and this idea that your net worth is directly tied to your self-worth. Whoa, that's a big statement. Your net worth is tied to your self-worth. And I have been pondering this. Usually if I accept a teacher and their teaching, just because they present an idea that's new to me, that I have not pondered before, that I just didn't have a perspective about, once I accept the teacher and the teaching, I then stay in the role of the student, allowing myself to be expanded in my understanding. Okay, we're going to get into women and wealth, last show of the Carmiece Graves radio show for March, and talking about this idea of expanding your thinking. It's really important. It's funny how people who go into learning spaces and feel that they're on par with the teacher in debate. And they resist the teaching like you did. Like, okay, well, if that's the case, then you would have an environment that reflects the greatness of your wisdom. You know what I mean? And relatively speaking, that's what people are living. They are living the results of the wisdom of their thinking. Now, I know it would be really tempting to say, no. There are environmental factors that are barriers and blockades to my success. Those people, very convenient, very convincing, really want to talk about the institutionalization of things and the reason why you're held down. But why are there people throughout history that despite whatever circumstances, they did what they wanted to do? They had success. So when those people exist, they really speak to the fact that the excuse that you're trying to hand over as a rationale for why you don't have what you want, it's been debunked. Because if one person can do it, it's possible for all. Okay? That's just how that goes. So let's talk about what I have been contemplating and thinking about. So again, we start this show with your net worth is directly tied to your self-esteem and what you believe about oneself. Now, I thought about this and I said, that can't be true. That can't be true. But when you look at it more on a refined level, and this is where we're going to jump into this today, when you look at it more closely, people that have, and this is true for men too, it's just not a woman thing, but I want to talk about it from the perspective of women because it's Women's History Month. This is true for men too. Men don't get a pass because this is just how it's set up. And this is why it makes sense. And you're going to see the clarity of this very quickly. When people have healthy views of oneself, healthy self-esteem about oneself. You do good things. You do things that promote your wellness. You make wise actions for your future. You set yourself up for opportunities. And one of the things, so let's talk about this money. Now, I thought it was interesting. I was talking to my mom like I usually do on a very frequent basis. And I was thinking about bankruptcy, money, women. Oh, we were talking about Monique more specifically. And I really love her as a comedian. She came up to my college when I was a senior. I got to see Monique back in the day, and that was in like 98. I'm going to put it out there. That's when I was in college. And she came up, and she was just, there was no TV show yet. It was just Monique, pure Monique on the stage, just ripping it, right? She even teased me, too, a bit, because I was on the board and helped coordinate it. And I was thinking about her story and what's going on with her. And you know, that was a big thing with her and Steve Harvey. And then I thought about other women that make money. And it made me think, you know something? Because the issue that I pointed out, and I don't like to point out folks' stuff, so I'm not going to get particular into anybody's business because I got to stay in my lane, okay? I got my own stuff to work on. I ain't there. We're all human working through it. But one of the things I've noticed, and here's the thing I want to talk about, preserving wealth and creating wealth. Creating wealth, and I think as human beings, if they say, this is what always has inspired me, intrigued me, I should say. They say we only use about 10% of our brain. I'm like this, that is low usage. That is low, 90%. What does the other 90% do? And I always thought, if I could just employ maybe another 10%, because this 10% is doing pretty well, but if I did another 10%, my goodness, what would life look like? And I'll tell you, in our community, we're always wondering, do we have the freshest knowledge? Do we have the cutting edge? Is some other community ahead of us doing it better, different, because they have privilege and access? Well, one of the things I'll say is the information usually is presented to you, but depending on where you are and how, and again, that self-worth thing, whether you're intrigued by doing something different instead of just something more of the same, if you're thinking about trying to do something innovative, break old patterns, do something different, you're going to have to embrace a teaching that you've never experienced before. It's going to have to be new. It's going to have to be out the box. So here's one thing. People that make money know that the wellspring of their money comes from the inner workings of their mind. That's what they know. Some people are trying to increase their man hours, their muscle hours, work harder, be a better employee, do all that. Do what you got to do. But when you realize that the wellspring of wealth comes from one's thinking, and then it manifests into something tangible to follow up on. That's where all the innovations come. That's why they're so valuable. When Steve Jobs, you heard his story and how he invented, the man was almost, usually they're almost off they're not mainstream because they're letting their beings create. So it's going to be really important because here's one thing I noticed. When we were talking about these celebrity women, I noticed that some celebrity women, and this is why your self-esteem really is tied to your net worth, because I've seen women make money. We have the Holly Berrys, we got the Mary J. Bliges, we got, they just celebrated Aretha's passing, and this is no disrespect to women because we are women. And if you don't have a healthy self-esteem, you can make money and give it away. I want to challenge this idea that to be a good woman and you make money, that all of a sudden the man you're sleeping with got to come and manage your money. Okay? Oh, I said it. Yes, I did. I said it. That's what I did. I said it. What is this concept that now would be a good woman to make him feel better? You know what I mean? So he don't feel intimidated by your strength and your wealth. You just hand over the reins of your business and your affairs to your man. Now, the man, I'm going to caveat this. There's always scenarios where this could work. But look at it. But let's look at some of the folks that we admire as couples. Beyonce ain't do that. That empire like this, this me and that's you. Okay? I'ma do me and you do you. And we're a powerful couple together. You know, Beyonce was like, oh, I'm not going to give over. Because she was always very involved with the management of her business. And she's, probably thinks pretty good of herself, as she should. That I got this, I'ma do me, I'm B. You know what I mean? Before you, after you. So when it comes to this money right here, we're not gonna get this money mixed up. And I've seen just the idea to think that you gotta do that. And some of these people don't even have not near first skill of money making. Your talent made the money. Your skill made the money. When your talent and your skill is the basis of the money, you manage the money because you're the being that's tuned into the money. Not saying you got to marry for money. I'm not getting into that. But when it comes to whoever made the money, should manage the money. And the fact that you think that you got to hand over your management of your money to your man to make him feel like the king of your situation, and we've seen that happen, mistakes. Oprah made that mistake, But see, one of the things that Oprah got, she a boss, is that Oprah's always going to be like this. Okay, well, I'm a human being. Well, let's go ahead and look at what we need to do going forward. Let me see how I'm going to rally back. Her rally back game is what it's all about. And that's why I love her. Because it's not about, and I was thinking about her coming over. Because I love Oprah Winfrey. Because she is really about committing to the mind space. If you think about one of the most successful women that we know in our community, Oprah Winfrey, the big O, what is she always talking about? She's not always trying to pitch you a new business plan. She's not trying to pitch you her business or sell a widget or a product. She's always telling you, this is how I made my money. And what is the conversation? Her mind space, her meditation, her forward thinking, listening to her intuition, listening to her guidance. And people think, oh, that's soft skills. That's not reality. Oprah's bank is reality. Okay? Her bank account is a reality. And when people are doing well, I look at that. I model it. I want to employ it. I want to do something better and greater. So one of the mistakes I've seen, so creating wealth, we're going to have to really commit to figuring out how to use a bit more of our mind space as opposed to our muscle. You want to run around and do a lot of actions, but it's really not about that. It's about inspired actions coming from within. And that's what our master, a lot of them out there, but I love me some Oprah Winfrey. If you just put her in YouTube, just put her name in there, that's the conversation she's going to invite you to, and she is sharing how she created her empire. Mistakes to avoid. We talked about preserving wealth. Mistakes to avoid would be, and this is why self-esteem is important and it's part and parcel to preserving wealth, because if your self-esteem ain't healthy and you feel that to keep a relationship, you got to hand over the reins of your business, let's use the Beyonce and Jay-Z model. Let's follow that one. Let's be the leaders of our business no matter what. And if you feel that way, that has got to be a caution. No, that's a red flag that something is off. Something is off. In those situations, we've seen them. We've had our sisters show us through their mistakes. Don't do this. Don't let somebody that just because you're in an intimate relationship and you want him to be the king of your castle to come in there and run your stuff and run it right in the ground. Okay? Because that person was attracted to the fact that you had that weakness anyway. Okay? Oh, it gets deep. So when we want to talk about women and money, we got to build it from the core. We got to build it from deep within, because you don't want to just go out there and be good at being you and then not good at being in a relationship, and then you just give it away. Okay? I learned that tip. Susie Orman. I love me some Susie Orman. She said whoever makes the money should manage the money. Whoever makes it should manage it, because it makes sense. They're the ones that have the skill to develop it. And in our iconic couple, Jay-Z and Beyonce, they both have their own skill and they both manage their own money. You know that's the situation. You know that when it came down to that coin, it was like this. Okay, putting that aside, RP, your people here, my people here, what's the contract deal? How are we doing this? And that's really important, because what we'll have, I have bankruptcy cases, women coming to me, single women, professional women being victimized by predators, knowing that they're accomplished. And you're talking about, and just because you educated and got degrees, don't mean your self-esteem is right. Okay, let's not make that mistake. Just because you got degrees don't mean you wise at all. That means you probably know how to take a test. That's all it means. Test taking is a skill. I'm not hating. Maybe you know how to write a paper. Maybe you know how to argue a superfluous point. I don't know. But let's not hang our hats on any of those external trappings and look to the quality of our lives. Is it what you want? So you got to really know that I know there's some beautiful, powerful women, that really know the balance. That whole dynamic between men and women, being empowering to a man is definitely something that you want to be able to do as a woman. Definitely. But self-deprecating yourself and self-sacrificing yourself, that's not the same thing. And if you think that's what being submissive is or being vulnerable is, or that's what you got to do to sacrifice your well-being, hey, don't it sound strange when I say it out loud? Don't it sound alarming? It does, and it is. But it's happening. You guys are like handing over the purse strings here, there, really quick. So we're going to continue this important conversation about money, women, and wellness, and what we need to do to create it and preserve it for ourselves. So thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Carmiece Graves, and this is the Carmiece Graves Radio Show. Man, that's bold right there. That's a bold topic, y'all. I'm putting it out there. Woo! Carmiece Graves going on a limb today, but it's a conversation I always have, because I've seen it. It's like this. Let's not do that. You could, be all the woman you want to be. You get in there and you support your man and you do whatever you feel you need to do to be a great support and, empowering outlet to your lover. But when you cross the line and feel like you gotta kind of hand yourself over in that way, and that's a person, and more alarmingly so, would you be with the person that would want you to do that? And would you be with a person that would accept that? That is a twisted combination, and we see it play out, and bankruptcy be involved with that one. Okay? Someone can't stand on their own, it ain't gonna work. Too much pressure is on you, who was like that? Nina Simone. I said last year, or was it this year, that I learned about Nina Simone, really followed her work, learned about her history and stuff. It's a big deal. And I'm back. Welcome to the Carmiece Graves Radio Show. In Radio Land, I'm always talking right on Facebook in between the breaks. I don't stop because I don't want to, I don't want them to just sit there and look at me, But anyway, we were just talking about, this topic. It's a big deal. We get really serious today. But thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Carmiece Graves. I'm an attorney and a CPA practicing family law, estate planning, and bankruptcy in the Maryland and D.C. area. So, I have a holistic approach to wealth, and I care about us staying out of bankruptcy, because to finish up this topic about women and preserving their money and how taking care of their well-being emotionally, spiritually, is tied to money. They're not part and parcel, because if you feel worthless, you're going to find a way to mess it up. Worthless people, people with low self-esteem, mess up their money all the time by overspending, because you feel that you need so many trappings to validate your worth. So you give it to these high-end places, or you spend a lot in little places. I don't know how you spend your money, but you don't protect it. You don't make good decisions about it because you're trying to fill a void. So now you got an emotional void that you're trying to, fulfill financially, and you're blowing budgets. You see how this thing really on a granular level matters? If you don't need that much, I love it. I have it because I can. I try and get it in the smartest way. Do you appreciate your money? Do you appreciate what you went through to get it? Then that talks about how you protect it, talks about how you invest it, what do you think? Do money, and how much do you think you deserve? Your self-worth. How much do you think you deserve? Some people say things, and it's funny because there's 5 types of money. I learned that from Margaret Lynch, but the different types of money, one is debt. Okay? One is debt. That's a type of money, and that's usually tied to guilt. Really, how secure you feel. I hear folks talk about their debts like, I'm never going to get out of debt. Well, if you say, I'm never going to get out of debt, and what you say really creates your future. And if you don't know that, that's the conversation that Oprah and others are trying to have us understand about the other 10% or 20% or 30% of what our brain does, which is create our future experiences through the thoughts that we ponder, really and truly. You know what I mean? Because you want to know, maybe in our culture, we thinking, it's all about that muscle because that's what we were forced into. That was not an option to sit down, sipping on tea, pondering A, B, and C. Some people got to do that. But we're used to the grind. We're used to the hard, back-breaking work. So you think that's just what I'm used to, but that never led to our wealth. That didn't lead to our wealth. Else we should be rich as, you know what I mean? It didn't lead to our wealth. So now we're trying to shift into another state of existing and how we approach creating what we want and preserving it. And if you have these things that are deeply out of alignment in terms of how you view your self-worth, you're going to sabotage your money. There's people that make tons of money that can't preserve a dollar. Women that make tons of money, and I was talking about before we went to the break, I've had clients come to me. They met this dude online. Dude online gave them the line. They bought it. And all of a sudden now he got problems. He got this going on. He trying to go back to school. He trying to start his business. Can she help? And she like, I want to support my man, so I'm going to go ahead and give him my money. I have disposable income. I'm going to support him. Maybe this is going to turn out, I'm supposed to be ride or die. But without having that self-esteem and self-worth in check, your internal checklist of whether this feels right, whether this is a good decision, whether you have the wisdom to stand up for yourself in that sort of situation matters, because it's a financial blower. A blood-sucking person that's using, intimacy to manipulate and control you, and that happens a lot. Because it happens in the dark, and no one always knows. You know what I mean? So everybody walking around being, superwomans, and, you should have seen, y'all should have seen, oh, Lord. But I'm not going to be too hard on us. The information is there to reflect. And I was thinking that I've been working and investing and trying to be my best self for a long time. And one of the first courses I took really helped me be able to look at myself objectively and it not be painful. And I realized that was brilliant for that to be the first course, because people experience a lot of pain doing any sort of self-reflection, that it's just like they just are hard on themselves anyway, and if you point out any flaw, anything like that, they just feel they're just going to implode. I'm not really like that. I really have been trained in a school where I want you to point it out, because then I can work on it. I have this understanding and belief that everything is transient. Even your experience here is transient. Nothing here is permanent for us, So as long as I can identify it, it's given to me with, some love, not the haters. Them haters be out there. They just want to point out petty stuff and really wallow in other people's sufferings. I heard a word yesterday when I was watching Mad Men, and I didn't get to look it up, but the girl said, you're a ghoul. Being a ghoul is a sin. You shouldn't wallow in other people's sufferings. And I got to look that up. And I'm like, if that's a word, I'm using it, because that's a big deal. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, okay, well, I'm doing this particular thing that I need not do because it's producing a result I don't like, and it's okay. I can choose to do something else. But first, I got to kind of figure out what I'm doing. And some of these things, and that's the purpose of this Carmiece Graves platform, all day, every day. That's what we're here to do, to kind of put it out there so we can say, maybe I won't do that again, because not to say, I didn't get it right. We're here to learn and grow, so we're not supposed to exactly get it perfect, but we do have the opportunity to make a mistake, assess it, or make a decision, right? And have an outcome and assess whether we want to repeat that or not, and know that that's what's happening. Because if you jump in the cycle or analyze the cycle from the wrong starting point, you could be really confused. And I hear a lot of confusion out there sometimes where people think that their outcomes and their environments and their realities are more impacted by external factors than what they really are believing, speaking, and promoting or emoting from their being. And that is a mistake. That is a mistake because there's people that have always kept the focus of their future success, of their freedom in this country against all odds, and continue to do it every day. So there's always the people that say, well, the environmental factors didn't stop me. And you'd be like, oh, well, that's them. Even for you to say that, think about that. Someone says, you know what, greatness is available to all of us, and you don't need to be toppled down or held down by, environmental factors. And you'd be like, you was just lucky. Oh, so you're unlucky? Oh, I hate that kind of talk. Ooh, so anyway, that's that. I want to talk briefly. I've been following Trump he's getting on it. Democrats, hopefully, please, look, get your focus off of Trump and get your focus on your platform, okay? Yes, we can. Get to it. Get to it. Get off of him and get on to what you're going to be delivering to the American people. Deal with this student loan debt. Deal with it. He out the gate on y'all. What are you going to propose? Deal with this health care? Student debt health care? Get on it. I need a solution. Those are real life things that affect people every day. The premiums are getting high. Propose a solution. Student loan debt. Interesting, I've been watching this story. So his first little policy there is to say, you know what? The problem is you people are taking way too much debt. You're taking more than you can afford, so let's put a cap on it. Let's limit the amount. And I'm going to post the stories that are rolling out thus far on my page so that you can see, so we can keep track of this. So I was thinking, what do I think about this? So here's the idea. Well, if you're taking out $200,000 worth of debt and then you're saddling yourself with debt, and you shouldn't do that. So why don't we say you only can take out $80,000 worth of debt or $75,000 worth of debt, and after that, come up with it on your own. So I feel that in this country, they realize the power of education. You open up the doors of education, especially black women. We coming through. We getting it done, okay? Degrees in hand. We graduated at rates higher than all demographics. All of them. Not just black men, not white women, all of them. Asians, everybody was in the statistics. And black women was marching across that stage like, yeah. Okay? Now, key thing is, the idea of limiting and putting a cap on the debt on the schools, I think you have to think about, well, what about limiting the amount that school costs? Okay, so are you going to still have a ridiculous amount of tuition and room and board, and then you have me come up short? That means you're kind of shorting my opportunity to move forward. And are we going to kind of look at this equation from both sides, where you could now say, schools, let's keep the amount of debt limited, and then students, the amount that you borrow limited, the amount of the cost of going to school limited. Let's cap that. I think that's my message. Cap the amount that it costs to go to school, and then go ahead and cap the amount that folks could take out. Because then we're going to be left in a lurch where school prices keep rising and our ability to borrow to go to school stays stagnant. And then here you have a gap and we fall through. So that's my point on that. Let's keep on top of that story. Thanks so much for tuning into the Carmiece Graves radio show. I'm attorney CPA Carmiece T. Graves, and I hope you have a great week. And I catch up with you later.
You've been listening to the Carmiece Graves Show with attorney Carmiece Graves. To reach attorney Graves, please call 240-573-7153. That's 240-573-7153.
I said it.
Be sure to tune in next Tuesday at 10 a.m.
That was a
right
lot.
here on WOL 1450 AM, where information is power.
Thanks. Peace.
Good morning. I'm Nick Bovey. Here's
I can't.
the latest
It don't want to end today.
from newsone.com. Brought to